If you're like me, then you yourself enjoy a good bit of trash. And I'm talking about the real good trash. I'm talking about The Room. I'm talking about the stuff that makes you think this is on another level of trash. It is so good. I am not one to shy away and go to the theater and watch the most abysmal movie there so I can come out of the gauntlet saying I did it. And that's what I've done today. I read one of the worst rated manga on my anime list, Mal. Now, to find it, you have to go pretty far back. For some reason, my anime list, because it's a website that looks like it's from 2003, where you have to search in the actual Google search bar. There isn't a place to filter like, yes, worst rated, lowest thing. There's no way to do that. Fix that, maybe. But I had to go pretty far back, and I had to go far back as 16,000 entries. I got to around 16,366, where I finally found manga that hadn't been rated at all, that don't have stars. So I couldn't really know whether or not they were actually bad. So I just went with the very first thing that had a rating, which is not what we're going to be talking about in this video. Is a manga version of High School Musical, which I would have loved to have read, but couldn't find out where to read it. So that didn't work out. So I went to the next one, couldn't find out where to read it. Until I came across a little manga, entry 16,364, Gal Cleaning. Now, Gal Cleaning only has 2 volumes. It is since finished. I've read all chapters. It's a quick read, 25 chapters. It started in 2018 and ended in 2019 of January. So it's not that new, but categorized by my analyst, it is trash. And boy, was I surprised to learn that not only is it badly rated, the story actually follows a very popular schoolgirl who is so messy and so lazy to clean. That's when I learned the story of the manga is about this dude cleaning up all her trash. It is a trash manga about cleaning up trash. Very interesting. So I proceeded to start reading the literature. So we follow this kid called Kaiji, right? He's a normal high school kid. He likes things to be clean, you know? It's kind of personality trait. And the first couple things we see that he is very much not someone who likes gals. Now, gals is something you might be thinking, well, he hates women. No, I thought that at first. I thought, this is an incel manga. No, unfortunately, it's not. So when he means by gals, he means gyaru. And that's a subculture of fashion, which honestly, this was interesting to find out, of people who dress in a non-conformist way against the normal ideals of beauty. So they dye their hair pink, they wear like very scandalous clothing or just very bombastic clothing. And this could be any gender, but primarily it's girls that we're following in this one. And the most popular gal is Chiriko. Through certain circumstances, Kaji has to take one of her old clothes to her house. It's a very rich house, and he goes in there and he gives the clothes to her and has to help her into bed because it's like, you know, she's tired because she's out karaoke and all that. And then we learn that her room is fucking disgusting. Fucking disgusting. She might as well be a streamer. She might as well be Asmongold with pink hair with all this trash in the background, okay? That is the level of messy this girl is doing. Kaji can't believe how messy this is, and he cannot deal with it. So he decides to clean it all up because he can't stand it. And, you know, eventually cleans it up so much that, you know, Chiriko can finally go to sleep because of how sick she is, essentially. You know, his preconceptions were that she's a selfish person. She doesn't really give a shit about anyone but herself. You know, these gals only care about going out, having fun, and don't care about the cleanliness standard of modern Japanese society. Until he learns that she actually makes these photo albums of people and that, oh, she actually cares. She took photos of other people and she was going to give these photo albums at the end of the year. And that's when he knows that he actually notices that she gives a shit about other people very genuinely. Goes through other chapters when she says, let's go out and eat for tea because the kitchen is fucking messy and they can't clean it in time to actually have dinner. So instead, she says, let's go to my friend's house, who he assumes is another gal. It's a nice old lady who she massages her shoulders and her hands because, you know, she's an old lady. She is actually someone who is tired all the time because she's helping other people. And Kaji is someone who notices this over time. And you're thinking like, you know what? This sounds all right. And it was for a bit. The main focal point of Kaji cleaning up after Chiriko majority of the time is through some crazy circumstance. His father's in debt and he has to live with Chiriko because their parents are friends and neither of them knew that. Okay. So the whole story is pretty much Kaji being put into these sexual scenarios where, you know, he'll be cleaning up and he'll be tired, and then Chiriko will surprise him and be like, yo, what up? And she'll be wearing like the scandalous Mean Girls Santa Claus outfit, and he'll be like, stop, I keep seeing your panties. And he'll be cleaning and he'll find a bra and he'll find panties and he'll be like, this is, how can you live like this? And she'll be like, oh, what, are you embarrassed? Tee hee hee, and all that shit. And it's kind of, you know, it's pretty funny sometimes. And it has that kind of way of the house husband aspect where Kaji will actually teach you something about getting rid of mold in a tile floor in the bathroom. Am I watching a kind of erotica, not real hentai to where these two might actually get together? Or am I watching Way of the House Husband where he's actually teaching me helpful tips about how to clean? Because at some point I'm like, should I be writing this down? It's actually kind of helpful. At one point I was reading this and thinking like, is this really that bad? This is really good. And the sexual scenarios are just very funny. Chirigo gets stuck in a tree, she falls down, lands crotch first in Kaji's face, and he's like, oh my God. You know, she wears his underwear because hers aren't clean because he tells her to clean them herself. So she wears his underwear, it falls off, she walks around school not knowing she's not wearing any panties. They get into a locker and he's like trying to be quiet and rubbing off on her, and it's like accidental, like, oh my God, the sexual scenarios are so accidental and funny and crazy. You know, it's trash in a fine way. Trash, and it's like, oh yeah, of course, these scenarios, so crazy. And Kaji the whole time is not someone who hates her. He slowly is like, all right, you know, look, you're annoying, and I thought I hated girls like you, but turns out you're actually pretty endearing, and maybe that's something about me. And it becomes this thing where it's like they need each other around, because at one point when Kaji learns he might have to move out finally, the last thing he cleans is the toilet. And it's this stupid scene of Chiriko being like, I don't want this toilet to be clean, because when it's clean, it'll be gone and that will be over. And I was just thinking like, shit, this is like intense. Why is it so somber when he's cleaning this toilet? I'll be honest, I was being like, shit, man, what's gonna happen? Turns out he couldn't leave. It was a misspelt text. I'll tell you, the climaxes on these chapters I'm going to be like, usually are like, oh, that's it. They just end abruptly. But it's, you know, it's trash. It's like, it's whatever. It's funny. And I like how it's trash and they make fun of the trash at the same time. It's like, huh. And it's not really hentai because you don't really see anything. You just see the possibility of something, and Kaji getting a blood nose. It's, you know, it's like the classic kind of erotica. I'll be honest, guys. At one point I'm thinking in my head, it's like, is it me? Is this manga for me? Because I'm reading this and I'm like, yeah, it's not really the most well-written story of all time. It's not that crazy interesting. It's kind of cute, and it feels that, you know, little void of high school like romance and ecchi in your heart. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm just thinking, is it me? Do I just like it? Why do people review it so low? Why is it so low reviewed? I mean, it's not great. It's not a 10 out of 10. It's probably like a 5 or a 6. It's something kind of stupid and funny. Why is it so lowly rated? And that's where I got to a certain chapter where I realized, oh, this is why. For context, at one point, Chiriko and Kaji are in a closet and they're hiding from the girls, and Chiriko is not wearing underwear and they get into a scuffle where they're trying to be quiet, but she's accidentally rubbing on his leg and she kind of orgasms, right? It's very cool. At one point, they avoid getting caught, and the school president is the only one who kind of notices that they were in the closet together, and it's kind of like, oh, crazy. Anyway, they get away, and then we go to the school president. We learn that she has a crush on Kaji, and that's why she was being so instigated. And the school president has her own huge bunch of chapters with a flashback where we learn why she has a crush on Kaji. Now, to preference, I thought that this kind of manga would be this thing where we follow these two characters, Kaji and Chiriko, where they would fall in love and eventually bang, or not bang. Regardless, they would make out at one point, behold this thing, because he's seen her vagina, he's seen everything, right? That's what I thought would happen. And I'm like, cool. I'm happy if that happens. I'm also happy if not. But it turns out in this flashback chapter of this school president that we just met, the only sex that is in this manga is a rape scene. Why? I literally start the chapter and it says, because in the translation, yeah, this manga is kind of fucked up now. This turned from a very cool gal story to something else entirely. If you want to read a very wholesome gal story, here's some other manga. And so I read this chapter and it is literally just a sexualized rape scene of these two dudes who got in trouble and suspended from school. So they sexually assault the class president. They sexually assault her. This is the only sex stuff that happens in the manga with a character we don't know out of nowhere. Why? Why? Where could this have come from? And she eventually, after being sexually assaulted by two men, before they actually have sex with her, they are attacked by Kaji and he saves her. There's a backstory that happened sometime in the past. I don't know when. I don't know how anyone mentioned this. I don't know how this wasn't a prominent thing. And that's why she has a crush on him, because he respected her and saved her, which makes sense for character. It does. But number one, this all comes out of nowhere. And to cap it off, when she confronts him and says, "I like you," Kaji's like, "Nah, I'm not interested." He goes back home to Chiriko. She's upset because she thinks that he likes someone else. He tells her the truth. "Oh, Kaji, you need to stay here and clean forever." End manga. So school president girl is alone now forever, having been sexually assaulted and has no one. Kaji goes to Chiriko. They live happily ever after in house, him cleaning forever. What is going on? Okay, first of all, the sexual assault came out of nowhere. It doesn't fit the story or the premise of the story from the beginning that this is a manga where realistic things happen. You know, I'm not gonna front with you. This isn't really a very gritty, realistic high school story. Number two, she doesn't get a happy ending. Class president gets rejected by Kaji because he's in love with Chiriko, obviously. So she ends up crying alone, having been now a sexual assault survivor and now alone. So we learn her backstory. She doesn't get any kind of closure. So that's cool for her. Third of all, these sexual assault scenes go on for like 2 to 3 chapters. 2 to 3 chapters. And they are heavily sexualized. They are very fucking disgusting. I was low-key enjoying this trash until this happened. After this happened, I'm like, not only is the story just completely diverted, it is ruined. This was somewhat decent trash, and now it is just fucking destroyed by this disgusting hentai fantasy. I don't understand. I was just so shocked by this. I was just thinking, how can this manga end? And it ended in such a cutthroat way of just like, yeah, they live happily together and that's it. GG. And I'm like, I am not only just confused, I'm disappointed because I was enjoying this trash. I was enjoying this trash that I was reading. I wasn't thinking this is the highest critically acclaimed thing I've ever read, but that's fine. You need a break from that shit. I can't read Pun Pun 10 times over. Fuck that. I read Berserk once a month and I read Vinland Saga twice a month. That's all I need. That's all I need right now. I need some more trash, you know? I'm keen to finally read some other trash. I'm kind of read some feel-good stories. This was a feel-good story until a sexual assault case happened that came out of nowhere. This is not a gritty, realistic world of Japan. I don't know what they were trying to think. I don't know what they were thinking. You have this very idealistic world of Japan, and then you're thinking, how do I spread in some realism? How do I add some conflict and drama? Oh, I know. Let's have these horny boys who are reading this story about this kid who's cleaning for this girl and seeing her panties and falling in love. Let's throw in a sexual assault case right there. Let's show in some sexual assault. That's what we'll do. Yeah. I hope the reason why this manga only lasted 25 chapters is because the publishers were like, yeah, so we kind of got some backlash for that, so we're gonna have to cancel. Which, good. First of all, it was insane. It had no point to the plot. It came out of left field. It was heavily sexualized. It was like a hentai scene. It was a hentai scene. It was fucked up, dude. It was weird. So now the low rating on MyAnime's makes more sense. And I've since gone from being not only confused, but now genuinely upset that something so trash but also good is now just bad. Imagine The Room, but at one point, like, Danny actually just sexually assaults Lisa. That would be like, oh, okay, this movie's ruined now. This movie's ruined. Give it a read if you're interested. I don't know if I would recommend it just because of that scene. Just stop at chapter 9 or 8, right before the incident, and then you can just do what the rest of the MCU do nowadays. Just live in headcanon and just do that. That'll be good. Anyway, that was my experience reading one of the trashiest manga on my anime list, and boy oh boy was it an experience. And if anyone out there can tell me where I can go read the manga version of High School Musical, I would genuinely like to do that and make a video on it. If you want to DM me on Twitter and help me find that, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's all from me, guys. I appreciate you for watching to the end, and I'll probably make a couple more videos like this in the future, because, you know, reading such great manga all the time is actually kind of hard. That's all from me, guys. Appreciate you for watching to the end. My name is Mugen. As always, have a good one.